A lot of students ask me, how did you get good at math? And the simple answer is, I do math every single day. Now, doing math every single day doesn't just miraculously make you good at math. You have to practice math correctly. But by doing math every single day, you're reinforcing your skills that you are learning. Compare that to somebody that maybe is just learning, or if you haven't learned it in 10 years, you're going to come off more naturally when you are explaining or working through problems when you have that skill set of practicing every single day. So that's why I want to challenge you with this series of videos is to practice your math daily. Now, in this video, what we're actually going to do is we're going to practice factoring quadratics when a is between 1 and 3. Now, it might be fairly basic for some of you, but again, what we're going to do is work through the examples, and then we're going to have a little competition between me and you to see how well you can do these 10 problems. I'll put on a stopwatch, and really the goal is not to beat me, which I'm sure many of you will, but the goal is for you to, one, make sure you are getting more and more correct the more often you do it, as well to make sure that you can do them quicker. So it becomes more natural and you become more confident on that. Now, I have a lot of ideas for doing more of these videos. So if you like these, then feel free to give me a like, as well as let me know in the comment section down below of what types of videos you would like to see for me to do next that we can continue practicing this daily math. So let's go ahead and get into the concept of factoring trinomials. Now, this is not going to be a basic problem on understanding factoring. I do have many videos, which I'll make sure I link down below, that you can kind of, to understand fully what we're trying to do with factoring, and maybe just kind of break down the process a little bit more in a step-by-step kind of format. I also wanted to remind you at the end of this video, like we'll do that, little competition going back through these problems, but I also will have a short form video that you can use if you prefer mobile. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. That's something that if you're constantly, using your phone, you'll be able to see these daily practice problems as well. Or you could just come back to this video and continuously practice it. So let's go through the idea of factoring a quadratic trinomial and, kind of go through the process, a quick little review. So just remember a quadratic trinomial, ladies and gentlemen, can always be factored down into a product of two binomials. Now, when we're trying to factor, what we're doing is we're taking this expression and we're rewriting it as a product. And again, that product, if we're going to multiply this back out, we'd do something called a distributive property or FOIL. The first two terms are always going to give you this first term x squared. And then our last term is going to give us a 1. So if you think about the factors of 1, you have +1, +1, -1, and -1. So we're going to put a 1 here. And then to determine if it's positive or negative, look at your middle term. If your middle term is both positive, these two factors need to add to give you that number. So since that's a +2, we know that we have to deal with a +1 as well as a +1. Now let's go and take a look at when those are negative. So if I have an x squared minus a 2x plus 1, you can see that the factors, ladies and gentlemen, are going to be exactly the same. But now they need to add, give me a -2, right? So instead of +1 and +1, I need to use a -1 and a -1. Now you could rewrite these as binomial squared if you want to, but I'm just going to leave it in our factored form for this video. So that's going to be for 1. We do have a difference of 2 squares, but I'm leaving that off in this example or in this video. So let's do the next one when we have 2. So I have an x squared plus a 3x plus 2. And you can see again, we have a positive number. So I'm thinking of two numbers that are going to multiply to give me 2, but are going to add to give me 3. And hopefully you recognize, ladies and gentlemen, there's not many options, right? This is going to be a x plus 2 times an x plus 1, because again, they have to add to give me a 3. So hopefully you're starting to see the patterns. And this is what daily math comes up to, is when you start doing math over and over and over again, you start seeing patterns. And that's how you get better at math, is having these patterns kind of come natural to you. And that's why I wanted to teach it in this format before we get into practicing these in a random order. So now in this case, we have the same numbers, +2. So it's either positive or negative. And since we're adding to give us a -3, then we're just going to switch these to an x minus 2 and an x minus 1. Now let's get into some negatives, because we didn't do that with 1, because I just wanted to leave off the difference of 2 squares. So, actually, never mind. I'll do the negatives in a second. Let's go on to the 3s. So what about if we have a positive 4x plus 3. And again, you can kind of see, all right, positive and positive. So that must be the factors of 3, which again are only one option, right? X plus 3 and x plus 1. And then let's go ahead and do the negative. So if I had an x squared minus a 4x plus 3, and then that would be an x minus 3 times a x minus 1. Now, a couple points, you can rearrange these anyways. You could write this as x minus 1 times x minus 3. The order of them doesn't matter, right? Just like it's 4 times 3 is the same thing as 3 times 4. All right, now let's go and get into the difference, because difference is where a lot of times we get mistaken or we make kind of mental errors. So that's why, it's really important to have that practice. So if I had an x squared plus x minus 2. All right. Now we know our factors are only 2 and 1, right? But now it's a negative 2. So that means one factor has to be positive and one factor has to be negative. But they're going to add to give us a positive 1, right? Because there's a 1 as that coefficient right there. So you think about it. Should negative 2 positive 1 or negative 1 and positive 2, which ones combine to give us a positive 1? And hopefully you recognize that's going to be an x plus 2 times an x minus 1. And then if I rearrange this as a x squared minus x minus 2, again, you know we're dealing with 2 and 1. One's positive, one's negative. But since they're add to a negative 1, now it's going to be an x minus 2 times an x plus 1. And then our last two numbers are going to be a 9 and let's see, that's going to be a x squared. This is going to be plus a 2x minus 3. And again, so we have 3 and 1, but again, one has to be positive, one has to be negative, but they need to add, give us a positive 2. So therefore, that's going to be a x plus 2 times a x minus 1. Not x plus 2. What am I doing? Mr. McLogan. Good thing this isn't the competition yet. So this is going to be an x plus 3 times an x minus 1. All right. And then number 10 is going to be same thing, x squared minus 2x minus 3. Okay. So again, we're looking positive and negatives, but they need to add, give us a negative 2. So that's going to be an x minus 2 times a, why am I doing the x minus 2? I better get this out of my way before I start doing this. That's going to be x minus 3 times a x plus 1. Okay. Now, one thing I did not show you, but I might as well do it right now, is again, here's how you can always check your work, right? I know that 2 could not have been there. Like I was seeing the 2 and that's where I was getting it confused. But again, when you're multiplying this back out, x times x gives you an x squared. Negative 3 times a positive 1 is going to give you a negative 3, right? And that's what we need. And then here, what's happening here is negative 3 times x is a negative 3x. And then an x times 1 is going to be the positive x. So what I want you to see is those two combine to give us that middle term. So therefore, that's an x squared minus a 2x minus 3. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So now is the part of the video. You can always refer back to this if you need, kind of review, just going over a quick explanation. But now what I'm going to do is I rearrange these 10 problems and we are going to see like how fast you can go ahead and work through them. So I'm going to do it in real time. Obviously, if you need to pause the video and you just want to work on it on your own, that's perfectly fine as well. It's not a competition. But again, if you beat me, put it down in the comments down below to kind of see. I will talk my way through it a little bit, but again, and writing with this tablet pencil is not as quick as doing it on a piece of paper. So if you guys are ready, I'm going to scroll down. I got these already prepared and I will put on the stopwatch and then we're going to work through problems. And again, I will have these exact same videos on a short form video. So therefore you can go ahead and check that down below if you want to go ahead and follow. And again, like this video if you like this type of content and let me know what type of content you want me to do after this video. All right. Are you guys ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. All right. That's positive and positive. So that's going to be x plus 3 times x plus 1. That's a negative. So that's going to be a x plus 3 times x minus 1. Let's see. This is x minus 3 times x minus 1. This will be a x plus 2 times x minus 1. This will be x minus 2 times x minus 1. This is a x minus 3 times x plus 1. This will be a x minus 1 quantity squared. This will be a x plus 2 times a x plus 1. This will be a x minus 2 times a x plus 1. And this is going to be a x plus 1 quantity squared. There we go. All right, so let me know how I did. I hope I got them all right, but if I didn't, to comment down below. Hopefully you did better, but again, if you didn't do better, see how long that took you. Oh, I gotta stop my watch. That took me about a minute. I should have stopped. Stop. There you go. I think I did that under a minute. I'll have to go and see. I'll have to go back onto the edit. But again, go back over this and time yourself to see how it is you are doing. And again, the goal, ladies and gentlemen, is to do better and better each and every day. So hopefully this video was helpful for you, and I'll see you in the next daily math practice. Cheers.